Welcome back to episode 12 of InsideX. We got a great show ahead of us here. Just want to give a huge shout out to Data Video for all the cameras, all the audio in the studio here, the switchers, all the good stuff they put together to make this show happen. Parts Canada, couldn't thank them enough. Obviously, they support the amateur huge, the whole amateur scene, as well as this pro series and this show. Rockstar Energy, always the XD Thermal. Get those at 7-Eleven, as well as all the great Rockstar flavors. Royal Distributing, they obviously hook up the whole shot winners. Going to have that back again as soon as the nationals start, get the whole shot checks going. Cardo Systems, the in-ear system that you can talk to your spotter, your mechanic, all that good stuff. And Yamaha Motor Canada, Blue Crew, they got an announcement this past week. We're going to talk about that later in the show. And as far as the show goes, we got Rockstar Energy recap this week. We're going to go to the final round of AX Tour of 2019. It's going to be in Barrie, Ontario. We're going to check that out, the great racing there, wrap up that championship. Parts Canada prediction. We're actually going to talk about the American series, the AMA Supercross, Motocross, and what that's all about. The thoughts on, maybe Canadians racing down there. We'll talk to Gauldy on that. Insider trading this week, a huge retirement, and the AMA Motocross. Chad Reed officially retired from racing. His last Supercross was this past Sunday. We're going to talk about that. Guest interviewed for today, Carlson Racing Husqvarna, Davey Fraser. He's going to join us, talk about his racing, his long journey of pro racing, and it continued into this year. Walton Transcan's Brett Lee also joins the show. We got tons more coming at you. We're going to be joined by Ryan Gauld here in a minute. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
You've got the ride, and we've got the parts to keep you going. Royal Superstores, with massive selections of products no matter what your power sport is. Top brands you've come to trust. Huge selection, amazing prices. Your one-stop shopping destination for the rider in you. Royal Distributing, Canada's power sports leader. Shop online, by phone, or in one of 4 retail locations. Fast coast-to-coast shipping right to your door. Royal Distributing. Eat, sleep, ride.
Now being joined by my co-host, Ryan Gauld. Ryan, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good here, just getting ramped up for another weekend of racing at Walton Raceway this weekend for AMO, and just kind of getting all the bells and whistles put together, flaggers and all, everything in staff and stuff like that to make sure we follow the guidelines. It's all coming into place, and we'll be there Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, it makes your job a lot harder. Obviously, all these COVID guidelines that you got to withhold and make sure they're all in place. Obviously, having that Go for Dunes, we've seen that, and you did a great job there, as well as the Go for Dunes crew. And I know Walton's been doing practices at their facility with these guidelines, so I'm sure it'll be seamless and everybody will follow the rules. But this past weekend, racing ended in Salt Lake City, and I wanted to bring this up. I know you were watching the Supercross, watching the finale, all the championships that are won. One person that finished their career off was Chad Reed, obviously a long career. What are your thoughts of him going out, and obviously 38 years old, almost 40, still racing Supercross?
Man, it's a testament to that guy's character as far as toughness and grittiness and just the ability to stay in. Obviously we watched this year and last year that he was barely a guy for contention or anything, or what he used to be, but you also look at the field. The field is extremely deep, and he's he finished 10th on Sunday night, like you really alluded to there. And man, his career is I was a fan of his right from the get-go. I believe it was 5th place, the very first Anaheim he did on a 252 stroke back in 2002, before he ended up winning the East Coast Lights class that year. And he's just one of those guys, man. I bonded with him. We had a similar attitude. I felt like I was being a fan of his. And then a couple times we crossed paths, whether it be in when they came to Toronto or when I did some work in the States doing some TV stuff. For it to end, it seems kind of sad. To be honest with you, I don't think I felt this way when Ricky went out or Bubba, although Bubba never really announced his retirement. He just kind of disappeared. But his ability to kind of suck you in as a fan was like another gift on top of his racecraft and grittiness. You loved him so much just because he just never went away. He was one of those guys that just always lingered, and his stat sheet of like who he raced against, right from McGrath all the way to Villapoto, Dungey, and then now Tomac Webb. He's battled kids and adults. Like it's such an outstanding career. It's amazing to see him go out the way he did, and the way, I mean, the COVID thing obviously kind of puts a bit of a damper. And the question now is he going to come back? Is he going to race? I think I have no doubt in my mind that we see him on the gate again, whether it's for a full season or anything like that. But he still makes great money. He still does gate. He still makes main events. I actually watched something where he said he wished he could get rid of the qualifying in practice and just go right into the main event. I don't know if they'll be able to do that for him, but if there was any other guy that could do something like that, it would maybe Carmichael. But amazing, just an outstanding career, and he'll be sadly missed in the pits. That kind of attitude and toughness. There's not really a lot of other guys that are like that, and that it can also bring you in as a fan, and you still like them. Like you get a guy like Webb who's gritty and tough like that, but you can find ways to not like him as a fan in certain ways. I think he actually earned a lot more respect this year, but to compare someone else to Chad Reed, I think he was his own entity, and it's gonna be sad not seeing the 2-2. I kind of whoever takes the 2-2 next I don't know if they want to do that, man. That's some tough shoes to fill.
Yeah, almost like a Gretzky number for hockey. It's like one of those things that you don't want to take that. But he's like honestly another pro athlete that he's comparable to is like a Tom Brady, who's well into his late years of his career. Maybe not as decorated as Tom Brady with all those championships, but just as much. 265 main events he competed in, which is insane. And all those top 10s, the 44 wins he got, and multiple championships in the Supercross as well as motocross. So yeah, it's a sad day for us fans. And like you said, man, I think the biggest stat is he raced through the McGrath era, into the Carmichael Bubba era, into like the Tomac Webb, actually Villapoto, Dungey before that. Yeah, so he went through like 4 eras of Supercross champions, and he's finally retiring. So yeah, sad day. And, we'll have to wait for the next one to come out. Maybe a Tomac will be the longevity guy now.
No way. That guy's done in a year for sure. He's taking the money around. Now that he's got the Supercross title, I feel like a check out. But just allude to the age there. It just goes to show that if you got a mind that is ridiculously strong and tough and you believe in your craft and what you can do, age is just a number. Chad Reed's 38 years old. He did kind of mention in some interviews I watched that he'd love to be able to get into a main event at 40 years old. And we know guys like John Dowd, who just scored points in our national series, got like a 14th in a moto, and he's 53, I think he was last year when he did that or something. So he's old. if you got that mind and you're in it, and I teach this thing in my schools, you got to believe in the craft and what you know and what you believe in yourself. And these kind of guys, just look at them like it's there. Other people can do it too, and it's proven with them.
But it's just a tribute to Chad Reed's career and all the great things he did. Appreciate you taking some time to make some good points there, Gauldy, about that. And man, it's going to be. Hopefully, we see him again. Maybe he'll just wait till he's 40 and then just do the bucket list thing, come back as 40.
That'd be cool.
But anyways, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back with the Parts Canada prediction.
Before the lights, before the cameras, before the crowd roar, before the gate drops, before the first turn, before the finish line, the podium, and the champagne. It's just me and my gear.
There's nothing like race time. Something that's super undescribable. Nothing gives me that same adrenaline rush. It's all or nothing. Your heart starts beating faster.
A lot of nerves.
For me, I still get nervous.
The adrenaline.
You feel focused. Everything else goes away. You're in the moment. I think that's the feeling that we live for. One goal, one vision.
Back with another Parts Canada prediction, although not much of a prediction. We're going to talk about some of the stuff that happened this past few weeks over in the AMA Supercross with the 7-round Salt Lake City, the COVID Cup, we'll call that, Gauldy. But what were your thoughts on the whole thing going down?
Well, just for the fact for them able to pull it off, like it literally is the only sport going almost in the world. I think there's some soccer going in some Europe areas and stuff like that, but like as far as motorsports and like mainstream stuff, that the majority of us follow: hockey, baseball, soccer, football is not going. Like it's pretty amazing that they were able to pull this off and give it its just due. Without the fans, obviously the moot points of the champions this past weekend winning, it was a bit quiet, and I was watching and I'm like, man, this has got to feel weird. You know, they're like cheering. I even made a tweet like it was like, you know, as a kid, when you're a kid and you're dressing in your room there, you draw your own number one plate and make a trophy out of cardboard. You know, you're standing there and there's nobody cheering for you, but you know, in your head you're hearing these fans and in your dreams and stuff. So it was a bit strange that way, but man, kudos to Feld Entertainment and the Utah Sports Commission and all the people that kind of pulled that together. Like I heard it was 29 days total for the majority of the big people staying there, all in a hotel, you know, stuffed and living out of a bag. I mean, we all know that as travelers, but to pull this off was pretty spectacular as far as our sport, looking at it from the outside in, and nothing but respect to that. You know, I know myself, I'm obviously at a smaller level here doing the AMO thing, and it feels really proud to kind of go over and above what people think you can do and what's right and what's wrong, and they were able to pull the trigger. And the racing, oh my God, like, I don't think you could have scripted it any better to end. I mean, I guess you would have loved for the Rocks Tomac thing to stay close, but Rocks couldn't keep it together. But just Webb and Tomac, and like they lapped the 5th place one night, and literally every 250 race was just full of testosterone, piss and vinegar, whatever you want to call it. Those kids were just mayhem at every gate drop. You were just on the TV just waiting for who was going to hit who was going to take out who, and the animosity between them all. And as a fan, it was truly amazing. I loved it, and not to lie, like I really liked the fact that we got that many Supercrosses during the week and stuff, and you know what I mean? Nice. Like it was amazing, Kyle. I know you love it just as much as I do, and I'm like, oh, gotta get home Wednesday. Oh, gotta get home Sunday. Oh, whoa, it's on again here, and you know, and then in podcasts in the middle of the week, and like the amount of information is flooded in the last 30 days was truly amazing. And now I want more. Like, I'm just jonesing right now. I want more of it. I can't even wait till the outdoors kick in and we get to see all these guys battle in the true heart and passionate side of the sport, and a little bit more less show and just that grittiness.
Yeah, no, I agree. And having it every Wednesday and Sunday, man, we got so spoiled. It's just like you didn't have to wait that whole week to the build-up. And I think that's what happened with the 250 class a lot, even the 450. It got, you didn't have that cool-down period where you're like, oh, I race Saturday night. And then you cool down during the week and you race them again Saturday. Like, you kind of forget about things. But it was like, boom, you're racing 2 days, 3 days later, and you didn't get to cool down. So they were still fired up from the last race. And, man, yeah, just to go off your point, when they got those number one plates, it kind of felt sad for them a little bit. As far as, like, you usually have so much media right there. You have the fans, you have your family, you have the team. Everybody's just crowding around, and it was very quiet. They grabbed it. They screamed. You could hear the echo in the stadium of them screaming, like, "Ah!" And it's that's the sad part about it. But I'm so happy that the TV package came together for them. They were able to get that series off the ground and complete there. Now, the champions that we've seen, Tomac finally getting that, and as well as the double up of Fernandez and Sexton. So what are your thoughts on the champions this year? They deserve it, or was there a better person out there?
Well, Tomac deserved it 100%. He did. He fixed all those little issues that us as talkers and media, whatever you want to call it, the chirpers out there against his sort of runs before, and he was able to fix it this year. He was consistent. Had one bad Anaheim, and that was basically it. And then that 4th or 5th on Sunday was like his worst finishes. So good job on him. Well deserved. He's been earning it over the last few years, and now it finally came together. So well earned and respected there. Sexton, same thing. It looked like McElrath was going to get the run there the first couple rounds and steal this away. But then he pulled it together, and then he showcased that he was the fastest guy the last few weeks and earned that championship. And then winning that showdown on Sunday just kind of even stamped that. He is a boss cat when time is needed for sure. So congrats on that one. Now, going into it, I thought Faulkner was going to pull this one off, to be honest with you. Man, he had so much momentum going into that final round, and it looked kind of like Fernandez was a bit flustered at all. That, man, he was getting bad starts. He was getting taken out. He was coming from the back. It just didn't look like things were going his way. And then, of course, that first start, he was in about 9th, and Faulkner's 2nd, and it was just like, okay, he's got work to do. He had to climb into 7 points. So, again, watching it, I'm like, oh, my God, this is going to be amazing. What's going to happen? And then, unfortunately, Faulkner just absolutely augers into that section and shuts it down. They red flag it, and then, Fernandez basically gets a pass. Gets a free main event, if you will. He didn't really need to try, but he earned it. He was there when he needed to be. He got through that whole Craig incident that got created and sort of the backlash and the hate, and he said some really interesting things on the podium. How his heart dropped for Faulkner, and his heart dropped from his legs in that main event because he was able to settle. So well done by all three of those guys and well earned, and definitely entertainment from start to finish on all three championships.
I agree. A good breakdown there, Gauldy. And I want to say a couple things. Obviously, Tomac, he was the man. He put it together when he needed to. After getting done Daytona, he just kind of put the pedal to the metal, and he can coast in that last round. The one thing that I had to point out, obviously, the Fernandez and the Faulkner, that was going to be a good battle besides Faulkner going down there, was the 2 red flags that McElrath suffered. The one, he was out front in that mud race, and it looked like he was just a home run. And red flag, Sexton won that race. It did a little flip-flop there, a 6-point swing. And then the last one, he had, again, he was out front, and they red flagged that. So it's maybe a couple, things that he wishes went the other way, but that's nothing to do with Sexton. He rode hard when he needed to and got those wins, and was a multi-time champion now.
Yeah.
So thanks for the breakdown again, Gauldy, and we're going to jump over back to our series after this quick commercial break with a Rockstar Energy recap.
You've got the ride, and we've got the parts to keep you going. Royal Superstores, with massive selections of products no matter what your power sport is. Top brands you've come to trust. Huge selection, amazing prices. Your one-stop shopping destination for the rider in you. Royal Distributing, Canada's power sports leader. Shop online, by phone, or in one of 4 retail locations. Fast coast-to-coast shipping right to your door. Royal Distributing. Eat, sleep, ride.
All right, Cal, like you said, time for that Rockstar Energy recap. The final round of the AX Tour here in Barrie Molson Center. Inside, we start with the clash once again, watching the little bikes and the big bikes go at it. Phil Nicoletti, he's launching out of that gate, man. He was banging starts all weekend long, I remember. But this right here is never good. A lights guy taking out a 450 guy. Who do you think was more mad there?
Oh, definitely Gerke was mad. But just to go back on Nicoletti's start, another hole shot. He was really on fire on the indoor portion of these starts and really nailing them down. And Thompson trying different lines here as you see this race progress. Look at inside there. Nicoletti's like, oh, I'll shut that door later.
Yeah, Nicoletti right now starting to run the way, but he's just playing the perfect game here, keeping the insides tight, not open the door. Thompson doing that triple, that would come into play a little bit later on, especially in the main event as well, but he could never kind of close that gap to make something stick there. It was really going to take an aggressive pass for Cole to make something happen. He kind of gets it in here a little bit as we get further on in this thing, but Phil Nicoletti, just all about the defense.
Yeah. Yeah, and right here you see that triple. It's a lot quicker going over the smaller portion of that triple, the smaller face, and he was able to get swinging to the outside. Now you see Tyler Medaglia on the little bike there coming into the picture. He's going to try to get by him off, but there Thompson trying inside. Now he's created a line. He's able to get that from the inside there, swing to the outside. This track was great for the riders. Like, it looked like the dirt was good, everything was good. It was just hard to pass, and a lot of people started going to the insides.
Had Rensland laying on the ground again, but I was thinking that too when I was watching this earlier. It had a real good flow to this track, and it really showcased some of the things that, Thompson was so fast in the whoops that time right there, really closing up. And this is where I tried to get it in. It was a little bit nice for Phil right there. There's a checkered flag, taking with Nicoletti, Thompson, Medags, Moffenbauer, and Noddet takes the points. Medags, imagine if he was in the championship hunt right there. Those points would have been great in that clash.
Yeah, no, exactly. Trying to catch up to that red-plated number 19, who we'll see in this race. Dylan Wright jumping out to a bad start there, actually off to the side. And look at Tyler Medaglia coming off that clash, warmed up, ready to go, and he jumps out to lead. And Tyler Gibbs jumping out to a great start for a rookie.
Yeah, he had a great night here at T. Gibbs. He actually saw him in the Clash for Cash as well. There didn't get points, but first time getting in. But Madags was sketchy early on, and it was kind of letting Renzland get a little bit close. He was really hanging on there. You can see the track is real smooth right now. And as the ruts get developed there, Renzland was so sharp. He's so able to cut underneath things. But again, Madags, almost like Nicoletti in the Clash for Cash, just great defense, took the right lines, and made them work all the time. Renzland really needed to be aggressive here, and it just never happened for him.
Yeah, and you'll see later on here how Dylan Wright's riding is how Renzland should have rode the moto with Medaglia. There's Dylan Wright coming in on Gibbs there, and he made a pass on Noddet just earlier on that. So he's very aggressive and then shutting him down. So that's how Renzland needed to ride. He's playing too nice, but look, you could throw a blanket over these guys.
Yeah, T-Dags and Renzland were going at it the whole main event long. Renzland would close in, T-Dags would pull it out, and then it would just kind of, you were waiting for something to happen. You were waiting for sparks to fly, and it was like, because Arena Cross Tour is so early in the season getting prepped for outdoors, it's almost like they were just a little too nice. Yeah, the Luke Renzland playbook right there does not have Dylan Wright in it, because he should be doing what Dylan Wright was doing in this main event, making passes and really forcing his way through. And Dylan Wright was on his way to his first championship, so he needed to do those things just to kind of solidify it there. Bit of whiskey throttle up in the air. Things were mayhem. But Renzland, he was trying. He was diving in there, but that wasn't just enough right there, Kyle.
Yeah, and he loses a bit of a gap, but you can tell that Renzland's quicker as he gains that gap right back up, tries to get in there again, and just doesn't have enough room to make it happen. Tyler Medaglia riding a wide bike. Whoa, almost T-bowed him there by mistake, Tyler. So yeah, just not close enough to really make it work here late in this race.
And you ever watch arena crosses all for years, the guys that want to take that win, you have to make aggressive passes. You got to be, you don't want to use the word dirty, but you basically have to be dirty to make something happen in here. And Tyler left a couple of those doors open for Renzland not to take them. Just made it, like I said, made me think that he just kind of wanted to settle in and was kind of happy in that position and not push that envelope because arena cross being early in the season. And, we had another 14, 15 races to still come this year for racing right there. But, man, look at him. He is right on, and now he's actually following him. And then inside line, he just wouldn't make it that dive inside.
Yeah, just need to dive in. He tries to go around here, and then Tyler gets right back to that inside and shuts down that door, and he just keeps swinging inside, outside, trying to get around him. And look at this. Oh, so close there at the checkered. He almost railed right around the outside of him. What a race, though, those guys had.
Yeah, look at them. They even fist bump there. They're pumped, and look at this guy. Happy. His very first championship as a pro racer right there. And from this point on, it would be a year of Dylan Wright. And there it is, Madags, Renzland, Wright, Ward, and Brad Noddet. Brad Noddet quietly in the top 5, quietly getting 5th in that Clash for Cash as well. So Brad Noddet having a great night as we move into the big boys in this main event would be awesome. A lot of action going on here. And another bit of a surprise, and it came right out of the gate here with the whole shot, Kyle.
Yeah, so Gerke gets out front early. You've seen Dakota, Alex, and Thompson in there. But right here, Thompson almost loses it, then runs into Alex, and right off the hop, not having the best race, gets a little sloppy through the whoops, and oh man, just trouble for Thompson.
Yeah, Cole just kind of had to hit the brakes a little too hard there, almost rear-ending Alex, and then Nicoletti gets in the inside of him as well. So the first lap and a quarter there for Thompson, one of his worst ones of his campaign in the Arena Cross Tour, but he would put it together and kind of bring it back with another incident going on there later. But it was the Monster Energy Alpine Store Pillar Kawasaki riders that were getting those starts. The Bondi engines in there helping them out, and man, they would get those starts, and Gerke, we would barely see him in this main event. He would start to run away.
Yeah, he got away, and he's a big fan of big whoops. He was able to skim through those and just have a little bit of a gap on these guys, and that's all you needed is just a bit of a gap. He had Dakota, Alex kind of holding back Nicoletti for a while there, and it just worked out for Gerke. Whoa, that got close there, Galdi.
That is right there how you got to pass in arena cross. Put a wheel in. If it's in the air, if it's in the corner, whatever it is, Nicoletti opens the door and he lets Thompson into the party as well as he goes by Alex. And look at this. They're cutting each other off, stuffing each other. Poor Alex can't get over that finish line right there, but he would recover later on. So now Nicoletti in a second. Thompson still able to get that triple tap in the back. That would be such a great line. And Gerke was the only other rider doing it. He actually doesn't do it in that frame there. And here's a good shot of it. Thompson. Very cool little section, and it was neat to see those technical racers do it.
Yeah, it's cool to see that there was actual options in arena cross. Usually it just ends up being one rhythm lane, but there he is, Gerke getting that triple, and it's kind of skimming out, which is very cool, and a lot of momentum gained there. Nicoletti still keeping that inside, just behind Gerke, just not able to gain that time on him.
Yeah, Nicoletti just riding the perfect track here. He doesn't do anything crazy, doesn't do anything exciting. hanging those insides and keeping it tight right there, making sure he doesn't get away. But here's a moment, Gurkey right onto the Hoosier tough block right there. And that's the kind of stuff in arena cross, especially when you're taking risks like that triple. And like Thompson, look at that, he's able to dig it in there. But when you're taking risks in arena cross, you're really stretching that 8-foot wide track, and you're really using all of it.
Yeah, exactly. Thompson trying to get to the inside of Nicoletti, and surprising, Nicoletti gave him the inside. I think he'll change up his lines here, as you see it do there before the whoops. And look at this, trying to get inside again, goes into his line, and Thompson goes down.
Wow, and Nicoletti just running. He's like a wall. Thompson runs into the Nicoletti wall right there and goes down, and he actually loses that position to Dakota Alex in the meantime as well. So now Thompson back into fourth. There's Gurkey at first. There's Phil Nicoletti in second place on his Rockstar Energy OTSFF Yamaha. And then the privateer Dakota Alex on the 164. He was a great fit for the 2 rounds of arena cross that he did. And then we'd see him coming in to the MX series. He was good. There's Kanger running across the track, grabbing bales. Kanger, get out of the way. Gurkey's got to go on here and win this thing right there. And there it is. Checkered flag. So a double victory for the Green Machines on this night.
Yeah, Barry was good to them. Good crowd in Barry, your home track. And the Green Machine takes it down. There's a champion, Cole Thompson, taking another Arena Cross championship back-to-back for him. Not the way he'd probably like, just like Dylan Wright not getting the win. But championship is a championship, and there you go.
Matt Gurkey, Nicoletti, Alex Thompson, Moff, Clayson, Fowler. My guy Eric Schilt getting in the top 10. Good to see that. He's my golf buddy.
Yeah, there you go. Anyways, Gauldy, another breakdown. We're going to be on to Supercross next episode. And you know what? 3 rounds to go. We're going to be at Gopher sooner than later as we're getting into July. But that's another Rockstar Energy recap. We're going to jump to quick commercial. We'll be right back.
From day one, Fox has created products with intention and purpose. So we can inspire your best ride, your fastest race, your greatest adventure. It's how we connect and how we dream. We were made for inspiration and for possibilities, for fast starts and long journeys, for challengers and for champions. Fox was made for you. So get out there and do what you're made for.
I'm now being joined by the Husqvarna Carlson Racing FXR rider, Davey Fraser. Davey, how's it going, buddy?
It's going great, man. Just out here living life on the East Coast.
Yeah, what have you been up to during this whole quarantine, COVID situation? I see some videos pop up with the East Coast boys buzzing around pit bikes and stuff.
Yeah, we've been keeping busy. You know, got home from Florida in mid-March, and basically I was fortunate enough with all the COVID deal going on that I was able to go back to work, and went to work for about 2 months, pretty heavily, just kind of pounded out every day of the week that I could get in, and finished up a job I had on the go, and then kind of turned my focus over to riding a bit more, and also trying to take a time that usually where I'm gone all summer, and I have a little opportunity to be home here for a bit, so spending some time with family and friends, and go to the lake and ripping pit bikes, and did the motocross school on the weekends. So been keeping busy.
Yeah, now the tracks are starting to open up. Obviously, I've seen Riverglade. I think they're having some open practices and whatnot. What tracks have you been riding? You're in Nova Scotia, correct?
Yeah, I was in New Brunswick in Moncton for a couple months of the start of this whole COVID thing, and there's not a lot of options for riding up there. There's a few pits here and there, but none of the tracks were open, and so I ended up coming back down to Nova Scotia where there's a lot more options for riding with a lot of sand pits and places where the track's not being open yet. But now the tracks are finally starting to open up. We're getting out to Miller Meadow quite a bit. Yeah, nice. Mount Tom's been open, been out to Pleasant Valley riding. So we got lots of options out here.
Some good options. Now I think Tyler has shifted over to Ontario to ride kind of his brother's track and stuff like that. So when is your plan to come this way and start prepping for the Nationals in Ontario?
Yeah, so I fly out this week to BC to meet up with the team and start doing some testing and shakedown, and get back on the 250 again. I've been riding the 350 all spring, so going to go out there, get on the 250, and then I guess we'll be heading for Ontario towards the end of July.
Awesome. That's good stuff. And I just wanted to, rewind always, especially with the riders, just to see where they came from. And the first time I remember, I believe it was a 171 of Davey Fraser back in the day, was, I think it was RJ's National in maybe 2004. I believe you were riding Super Mini, Intermediate, and the Pro class. I think you qualified for the Pro and probably did well, probably top 20. What was your amateur career like?
That's a pretty good memory on you. That was pretty spot on right there. I think, 2004 was the first year I was intermediate, still in 80s, and started getting a couple nationals in. But I just kind of grew up here in Atlantic Canada racing. Had a few good guys racing with growing up, back in the day, Nathan Slater and Charlie and Levi Smith. So had lots of guys to go up against, and started doing the nationals in 2004.
That's insane. I know that we just seen that Colton retired this past year, and he actually started in 2003, I believe, or 0203. Yeah, it was 02, sorry. So a couple more years, you're going to match his 18 years career. So you're at 16 or 17 going into this year. So is that something, a goal in mind? Like obviously Tyler Medaglia is the same thing. He started in like 03. So you guys are just trucking along as the veterans of Canada, and having that career number 11, you kind of want to hang on to that.
Yeah, for sure. There's a little group of us that have been around for a long time. Kind of like in the middle of it all for me. I always rode every year and raced a lot, but there was a few years there where I only kind of did 1 or 2 nationals a year and just hung out around home and did the local scene. But since 2016, I've been doing the whole series again. So I don't really try and put a time cap on it. I have fun doing it. I work a normal job too, and I'm able to kind of balance the two of them, luckily. So as long as I'm able to do it and I have the continued support that I have, it's hard to say no. Yeah,
exactly. And you've got a good group behind you, the Carlson Racing Team, and obviously similar situation with Keelan Meston. He works through the winter and then goes racing in the summertime. Now with this whole tighter program we got, obviously the races are all going to be done in like 7 weeks. Is that kind of a better program for you? You can get it done quicker and get back to working and doing what you got to do.
Yeah, I think it's going to favor me a lot. I always struggle on the West rounds and then kind of pull through on the East. So now that we're only racing on the East, I'm kind of laughing unless hopefully I don't start slow again, because then it'll be over before I get going. But I think it's going to be good. I'm really looking forward to the 3 moto deal, having a moto on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. I think that's going to cater to me huge because I'm the kind of guy that comes off the track after the moto and I don't even want to take my gear off. I just want to go back out. I'm just thinking about everything I could have done better and how it could have went faster. And so to have the opportunity to go right back out the next day and try again, I'm super stoked for that.
Yeah, one memory that'll always stick in my mind is you hole shotting last year, Moncton, and then over the Clatapult endoed, and man, the Pettis and Dylan Wright just missed you, and man, I'm so happy to see you walk away from that one. What happened off that jump that caused that?
Actually, my bike popped out of gear on me at the bottom of the face. It wasn't even a false neutral. I was hitting the corner every lap. I've got a million laps around that track. And
yeah.
I'd hit the corner in third, and I don't even shift going up to that jump. And for some reason, at the bottom of the face, she came out of gear on me, and I had to eject through the handlebars. But luckily, I made it to the top of the hill, and my good buddy there, Jumpin' Jess, he almost ran me over, but he did a really, really good job missing me. So I made sure I went and gave him a hug after I seen that video.
We have that video a couple times on our social media, slowed down, and he just misses your head by like inches. And it was probably, I remember seeing it and I freaked out when we were doing the commentating for it because that was a scary moment, but very crazy. And you had some good rides like that later on. Like you said, the East Coast is better for you. Maybe it takes a little bit of time to warm up, or maybe just like the sandier tracks in the East. And I think you're going to deal with the fair share of sand. Obviously, a new track to the series, Moto Park. Have you ever had a chance of riding there?
Believe it or not, I've only ever been there once. All the years and all the traveling I've done and all that, I've only been there once, but I remember it was a lot of fun, and I see a lot of stuff, especially lately on social media, people riding there again because they were one of the first tracks to open up this year. And it looks like a great facility. I know it's run by some great people, so I think it'll be a great event.
Yeah, Ian Hayden running that, Zeb Dennis, guys that you probably battled with through the Nationals. They're retired, long retired, and running the Moto Park, and you're still out there getting national points and doing your thing. But man, we're kind of out of time here for this segment, but man, really appreciate you coming on. Safe travels out to see the Carlson boys and getting those bikes dialed in, and we look forward to seeing you at Go for Dunes, Davey.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate you guys having me on here, and can't wait to see you guys.
We're going to take a quick commercial. We'll be right back.
Before the lights, before the cameras, before the crowd roar, before the gate drops, before the first turn, before the finish line, the podium, and the champagne. It's just me and my gear.
I'm now being joined by the man behind the Walton Transcan, Brett Lee. Brett, how's it going up there in Walton?
It's going really good. Thanks for calling me.
Yeah, you guys got a race coming up this weekend. I'm sure you guys are fully pinned, and I know that you guys have been doing some practice days. How's that all been going with the new situation we're under?
Yeah, so it was a real huge unknown what would happen this year, whether we'd be going racing or be able to do practice or whatever. So we worked hard in the off season, or I guess it seems like an off season, but in the spring they're trying to get things going and working with our provincial and our federal government to get things going. We came out in stage one and we were really careful about it, planned it out, and did it well. And practice has been awesome. We've been open as a facility since the third week of May, and we've been doing things each weekend. And each weekend the restrictions come down a little bit so we can do more. And then the other thing is, I think people are really just really cautious about doing it right. They're making sure they come here, they follow the rules, and everyone's just happy to be outside. And it's been a lot of fun this spring.
Yeah, no, I actually came to that factory test day you had, a little national on a few Fridays ago, and it added a little bit more work for you and Mel as far as making sure you manage the whole facility, making sure there's people not, at one point you couldn't camp in tents. I think that's opened up now, but just going around to each site, making sure there's social distancing. Such a weird time we're in, making sure, I know what, to go for dunes, you have to wear a mask if you're a mechanic at the starting line and stuff like that. It's just added work, staff that you need to do for parking and all that stuff, but man, it's just good to be back at the racetrack.
And it's worth it. But that's what keeps us safe and allows us to do what we want. We're willing to do anything. And like you said, going back to the pro day we had there, I was so revved to have those guys all back on the track. I told a couple of guys, I said, man, it is fun to do practice and have everyone out, but when you have a bunch of really elite riders on your track, it just gets the juices flowing. And on that day, I was like, I can't wait for Transcan. I can't wait for Nationals. It was awesome that day.
I fully agree, man. It almost felt like it's a national practice day there, like the morning of qualifying and stuff like that. Stopwatch nationals, whatever you want to call it. But it definitely, yeah, you get some junior and intermediate riders. Just doesn't have the same flavor as the factory guys getting out there and ripping. But closing in on 30 years at the Transcan. Obviously had that 1 year off there. Was it 2017? But closing in on that 30-year window. And I remember my first year, 1996, man, it'd been going ever since, like never missed a year. So, man, what's it feel like to be this far in?
I still feel it's strange because I don't feel like I'm very old, but I've been around for a while, obviously now. But it feels good. I mean, I love it. Right now I'm talking to a lot of people across the country, and I'm sure it's like any race in North America. When you sort of been there for a long time, people really bookmark that as an event they want to come to. And like you said to me, like, how's it going up in Walton? Well, up here right now, it's just it's a normal day. You know, the dog's running around, the kids are running around. But for that 1 week, this place really does become something special. And I think it's because, like you said, you've been coming here forever, and guys just sort of hang their hat and a lot of pride on doing well here. Even in the pro class, winning the King of Walton sword means stuff to guys in a different way. And so Yeah, I'm excited and I'm super proud, and I'm proud to be part of everything that's going forward. Like I said, it's been a great start this year, and even though it's going to be a lot different, I got this weird feeling it's going to be better, and it's going to drive us forward in a better place coming up here in the years to come.
Yeah, and I know just to touch on like how special it is. I remember my first year actually broke my arm, didn't get to race, rode 3 laps of practice. So you guys owe me a refund. We'll talk about that another day.
Yeah.
But I was just saying, like when I broke my arm that day, and the medics put me in a sling, and I was supposed to go to the hospital to get it set because it was out of place. I literally sat under, I think there was like a beer tent in the middle. I sat in a chair and watched practice because I was just so amazed. And back in '96, and all these guys that you hear about in magazines and newspapers and whatnot, I just sat there and watched them. So I imagine for kids these days and able to, see all these amateurs come up through the ranks and then end up being a Dylan Wright, it's very cool. It's such a, the only place in Canada that you can get everybody together from east to west and battle it out for championships. It's got to be special, and you've crowned a lot of champions there.
Yeah, and it's just been, we're a meeting place for it, right? I mean, we prepare the dance floor, but everyone comes and they do their part, and that's why it's special. But the other night we were watching the Supercross, and Dean Wilson was leading, and he's got such a special history here. His family's got a history here, so it's super cool when we're sitting watching him race and him leading a Supercross. And remember the days when he was here on an 80 and he came back as intermediate and just sharing. I sat around the fireplace with his family at nights hanging out. So there's a lot of stories, a lot of guys like that. Like I said, we're nothing but a place for it to happen, and all these stuff that happens around it is what makes it special.
No, I agree. And had touched on Dino. I remember him winning that moto in the 250 Pro class against his good buddy Beaton and stuff like that. It's just so many memories there with all those guys, and it's cool to see, like you said, the premier class of Supercross, and we had a guy grow up in your backyard there. So very cool. I just wanted to touch on, obviously, this year's Transcam with this whole situation. It's going to be a little different. What can people expect? Or you're kind of just, it's a very fluid motion. I mean, like, we don't know exactly where we're going to land in August. But right now, what can they expect? Probably a lot of online processing and stuff.
Yeah, so, I mean, we've for a long time been online for the Transcam just to make it easy for us to manage that event and know what we're dealing with. But that's sort of what we're going to continue. We're going to encourage people to do everything online. They can go online. We're going to really start pushing that program right now to be online. And I'm hoping by then a lot of the restrictions have backed off a little bit. And I guess what people can expect is, my goal is to deliver the same, right? Like, even in a year that's so uncertain, I hope people know what we're working towards is that you can come here and be certain it's going to be our best effort and a little luck, good weather. And I can guarantee it's a lot of fast guys coming. I talked to today, let alone I talked to Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and a kid from Atlanta, Canada. So I know I got the attention. And that's one of the important things to me, is that it is a true sort of snapshot of Canadian talent. And so we come together one weekend and we do have all the best racing each other. And I think, whether we have to stay 6 feet apart, you'll be racing the best when you go to the line, right? And it's going to be like that. And hey, it's going to be a year that we're going to look back at and say, I kind of went through that with racing the year of COVID. And like you said, it'll be, you'll have your memories of 1996, and we'll have a 2020 memory that's going to be completely different. But we're working hard, and the track's, it's going to be a great track. It's going to be a cool event, and we're going to do everything we can. We know this is how people spend their vacation, and this is how it costs money to come here. So we respect that, and we value people who invest in coming here. And I'm going to do everything I can that when you come here, it's going to be a great time. It's going to be worth it, and they're going to have fun.
Yeah, I agree. It's always a great time, always fun. And like, I'm very, very fortunate. I tell everybody I'm very fortunate to live under 2 hours from Walton, and it's the premier place to go as an amateur as well as a pro. It's going to have a little bit of a different look this year with the 3-moto format in the pro. So the amateurs will be racing with the pros on that Saturday to conclude their program, as well as start the program of the pro, which is kind of cool. It's a little bit of a throwback from years ago when we used to do the qualifying on Saturday.
Yeah, and the other cool thing is, actually, in our very first year, the pros rode with the amateurs, a 3-moto format, the very first year, way back. So it's a long time ago, and there was like 20 guys on the line that first year, but we did it, and it was cool. And you know what? Who knows? This may be something we want to do, and I'm looking forward to it and seeing how guys adapt. It's going to be a different thing. When you come to Walton, and anyone who's raced Walton will say this, is that it's 3 different tracks usually. There's a morning track that's really soft. There's a midday track that's kind of rutty and it's not bad, and there's a hard pack track at the end of the day. And so the pro guys are going to be jumping in with what those amateurs have always faced. It's like a really changing beast. It doesn't have that sort of consistency. I think Saturday's going to be different, and it's going to be like that track they face on Saturday may not be the same track they face on Sunday, because it just changes with that many riders and the time we have available to us. So it'll be cool to see what happens.
I agree. And to be honest with you, as much as the end of the day was always tough with the sun, I actually preferred that track. It was nasty. It was rough.
Yeah.
You're dealing with some crusty ruts. But I did better there, even though I didn't love it as much as the midday session. But, man, I always did good at that late day. Smooth throttle. That's what I got, smooth throttle. But
yeah, absolutely.
Anyways,
I was the opposite. I was in the morning where it was no control. Just hang on.
I do remember you winning a mud moto first thing in the morning, so that was pretty cool. The Walton Trans
actually,
game.
you can see the bib up behind me from that last moto I won here. So,
perfect.
It was
Awesome.
cool.
Anyways, thanks so much, Brett, for joining us. We could have talked for a lot longer with these Walton Transcan stories, but we appreciate it. Good luck this weekend at the Ammo Provincial there, and we'll see you sooner than later at the Rockstar Triple Crown.
I'm looking forward to it.
Before the lights, before the cameras, before the crowd roar, before the gate drops, before the first turn, before the finish line, the podium, and the champagne. It's just me and my gear.
And we're back with another social media check-in, Gauldy, this week. Look at that. Slow-mo T-Dags. Does it get any better?
I don't know. I don't like looking at Tyler that slow. It kind of weirds me out. I like him fast. I like my Tyler's fast.
Yeah, there you go. And he will be fast once that series starts at Gopher Dunes. Obviously, he's in Ontario getting ready. He's hanging out with family there. Obviously, his brother and his dad and his whole family lives there. I actually ran into this guy at Gopher Dunes getting some time in. He's getting his XD Thermo into him, getting ready for the Gopher Dunes National.
Wow, it's going to be good to see Yannick Boucher right there. Good to see. And, the premix. Love me some 125s.
Jack Wright, and there's Hayden Halstead at Walton, which the ammo race this weekend. Walton Transcan, get ready there. Get those reps in before the Transcan starts, so that'll be good. Moto Park, there's look at the dirt there, just looking so prime. Zebo's got that track looking
first week of August, we're going there for the Triple Crown Series, so it should be exciting to have that on the national tour. And this is awesome. Yamaha Motor Canada, big thank you for bringing back the Yamaha Factory Rider Award, Blue Crew Factory Rider Award, and that's going to be a big thing at Transcan this year.
And there's the race that happened this past weekend in Gopher Dunes, the off-road series. And then Wild Rose here, they've been doing a lot of practice days. Not open for racing yet, but good to see them out being able to use their facility. And this is another...
I sorry to interrupt, another AMO pick, but I did get some word from the ADRA group out there, Chris Bowman. They got some go-ahead, so we might be seeing some racing in Alberta happening soon locally. Great to see.
Yeah, and there's some masks, people wearing masks. That's a new normal as Pop them there in the racing. That's another social media check-in for this week. Obviously, you got a big week ahead of you, probably starting tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, and then you're right into the weekend of just getting prepped for this provincial series that you got going on.
Now doing everything online due to the COVID stuff. There's literally no penmanship or signing or anything. It makes it a little bit easier. And then we transferred into the trackside system, and we're there Saturday and hanging out, be able to practice a little bit. Of course, we're going to Walton, so they know what to do on their end. It should be a great weekend. Weather looks like it's on our side, and I'm excited. I'm just excited to go back racing and see the community again and have some fun at the track and do and follow all the guidelines like we did at Gopher. We can do no wrong.
Yeah, and we've seen, so you're racing this weekend, Ammo. I know that SMX in Quebec has got a Challenge Quebec race. I want to say the Manitoba is firing up a race this weekend. I'm not sure exactly what track they're going to, but check with those guys at, 204 Moto? G-Moto? Grassroots Moto?
204 Grassroots Moto, yeah.
Grassroots Motos, that's it. Next week, we actually won't be here on Wednesday. We will take a weekend off, and then we're coming back with 3 in a row right before Go for Dunes. Finish up that Rockstar recap of Supercross into the Go for Dunes National, which will have our 3-moto format. So lots of racing to recap after those weekends.
Lots of excitement coming.
It'll be good
it's great
times.
to hear that all these races are starting to go in, and hopefully the rest of the country and the government officials see the hard work that we've been putting in, because it's awesome to see everybody start to get further ahead like we did here in Ontario.
Yeah, well, thanks again, Gauldy, for joining me, and we'll take that next week off. Enjoy your weekend off or week off, and enjoy your weekend at the race, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
There's nothing like race time. Something that's super undescribable. Nothing gives me that same adrenaline rush. It's all or nothing. Your heart starts beating faster.
A lot of nerves.
For me, I still get nervous.
You know, the adrenaline.
You feel focused. Everything else goes away. You're in the moment. I think that's the feeling that we live for. One goal, one vision.